Okay, I'm going to try this for a fourth time, and so help me God, I have to get through this video. Anyway, so welcome back to another Q&A, and this time around we're going to be talking about the Superman Q&A. Like I said, this is the one I've been really building up to because of the new Superman movie. And as always, if you'd like to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, let's get started with the video. And this time I'm going, rather than down, up, I'm going to go up, down, because, god damn it, I have done this 4 times, and I've given the same answer 4 times. I cannot, for the life of me, do it a 5th time. So I'm going to wait to get to those questions at the top. Anyway, so starting off, first set of questions come from David Deister, who asks, what Marvel characters could you see Superman closing over with? Fuck that mean? Bonding over with, maybe? I guess Spider-Man and Captain America, if that's what you're trying to say. Or maybe one of the variants of Hyperion. Those would be some of them. Second question. What is the best and worst Superman runs? Let's go with worst. Brian Michael Bendis. That effectively, ended... that did so much damage after how good Peter Tomasi's Superman run was. It took everything Tomasi was building with, the Superman family, and Bendis went, I'm Bendis. I don't care about continuity. I just care about my goddamn bald-headed ego. I'm going to take all the things I negatively impacted Marvel with and then apply them to DC and force it like a square peg through a triangle hole. Did I mention I'm Brian Michael Bendis? I should not have been given Superman. The one good thing I did at DC Comics was Batman Universe. I should have been given Batman. So yeah. Next, after that, following that, I'd say Chuck Austen, that god-awful X-Men writer. He wrote Batman. He wrote, not Batman, Superman, and it was awful. And some of the Jeff Loeb main continuity stuff. Those are some that come to mind. Best, of course, you got to say, Mark Waid and Jeff Johns' run. John Byrne. John Byrne, definitely. I think Joe Kelly's run is also really good from the 90s. I think, there's a lot of good in there. The thing is there's a lot of good Superman runs. I think, I haven't read it, but I heard Joshua Williamson's Superman run is actually pretty solid. So, yeah. Anyway, and Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics as well. That's a good one, too. So there you go. Third question. How would you do a Superman run if DC Comics hired you? If I could do a Superman run, oh man. If I could do a Superman comics run, I would probably have it be a... I think what I would like to do is have it be maybe not have Luthor be the endgame villain or Doomsday or something like that. I'd probably say someone else, probably. I don't know. I don't know if I'd make new villains for Superman. I don't think he needs new villains. I think he just people just need to write the other villains better. But I think what I would like to do is have it be... this would be more of a Superman family comic, kind of like Philip Kennedy Johnson's thing, where it was the Superman family, and have it be that maybe Superman wants to have a more global feel of Superman. It can't just be the entire Superman family in Metropolis. It has to be there are other cities out there that need Superman. So maybe when Luthor created Supercorp, maybe Clark brings that back and makes Supercorp out of other Superman family members. So have Kara in another city, Kenan Kong, the Chinese Superman, back in China. Even though he's not really liked, I would have it he's not really... They don't really want him back, but it would be him reconnecting with them. I'd probably have John Kent he's like, I think Clark would say like, oh, you're Clark, like, John, you're more than capable now. You can protect a whole city by yourself, and it's time for you to have your own life. So John Kent, I would probably have be a Superman of like maybe L.A. Yeah, L.A. or maybe have him be like the Superman of. Actually, I think John would probably go somewhere like a city that really needs a Superman. So probably like, probably, I don't think he'd, like, John would be in America, but yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like something like that. Anyway, thank you for those questions, David. Moving on now to Gordon Rajani, who asks, what do you think, what do you look for in a good Superman story? Okay, that's the question. What do I look for in a good Superman story? I would probably say, like, what do I look for best in a good Superman story is like, one of the major things I look for in a Superman story is how much are you balancing Superman as the hero and as the person. Like, such as, like, I love little moments with Superman in most stories. Like, in when I was talking about Revenge of the Demon, one of my favorite moments is just Clark just sitting on a skyline on like this steel beam in the with this former criminal that he busted, and they're having a conversation about life. Also, like, other little things that just make me happy, like Superman flying through the city, and and like some kids are like, "Wow, Superman!" He's like, "Good morning. Remember to eat your breakfast," and all that. Just, I love my favorite moments with Superman are when when Clark is with people. And the other thing is, like, when Clark still keeps fighting no matter what, like, no matter how big the insurmountable odds are, Clark is there to, like, hold the line. So that's what I look for. And don't get me wrong, I do love some action, but, you know, I love I love Superman the person more than the hero. So that's what I look for to boil it down. Second question: what are some of your favorite episodes of Superman the Animated Series? Oh God, I'm not going to remember a lot of them off the top of my head, but I really like the Metallo episode where he first was introduced. The Dr. Fate team up, I really dug that one. Of course, the Superman Batman trilogy episodes, those are really solid. Also really dug any of all the Bizarro episodes are great. Like, I really love the Bizarro episodes. Whenever Mxyzptlk showed up, yeah, those are some that come to mind. Third question: what Superman supporting character do you think needs more love? I always I have a soft spot for Bippo Bobowski. I always for Bobowski. I always had like a solid love for that character, because he's just some big dumb lug who's just like, yeah, go get him, Superman. He's like an alcoholic friendly Popeye who's just wants to go punch someone in the face and then be like, okay, sorry I hit you. Superman wouldn't want me to hit you, but you kind of had your mouth going. So, more love for Bippo. Justice for Bippo. So thank you for those questions, Gordon. Moving on now to Tom Hibbert, who asks, do you think the biggest problem with Injustice Superman is that one, even if he lost everything, he wouldn't have to go that far? 2, it really feels like Batman should have been the villain, considering he has more edge than Clark. And 3, making Superman a dictator goes against everything why Siegel and Schuster created Superman in the first place. Yeah, that's kind of it. And also, like, I can point to so many comics that show regime Superman sucks. Like, it just sucks. Like, anytime you try to do any evil Superman, Homelander, Omni-Man, evil Superman just fucking doesn't work. The whole point of Superman is that he has all this power and doesn't let it corrupt him. One perfect example I can always go to with Superman is in the story Superman Ending Battles, where Manchester Black literally told every supervillain out there, that especially his villains, that all of it, like Superman is Clark Kent, and at the end of it, he made Clark think that he had murdered Lois, and just as he's about to kill him, he's like, "No, that's not who I am. I'm going to honor Lois's memory for forever." And man, and Black was just like, I can't even do like I killed the woman you loved, and I can't even get you to do that. Fine, here she is. She's alive. I tricked you. And then he blew his brains out. Anyway, so yeah. There's even another great comic where, like, during Superman Brainiac, where Jonathan Kent, not the son, the dad, Jonathan Kent died of a heart attack at the end of Superman Brainiac, and Clark was not there to save him. And all he really imagined during the funeral, all he could think was going to where Brainiac was locked up and beating him to death. But he's like, that's not what my dad would want. Yeah. So Regime Superman sucks, and it should have been Batman. But then everyone would say, like, oh, Batman would never kill people. He would. Anyway, what is your favorite adaptation of the Death of Superman? I would say for, like, favorite adaptation of the Death of Superman. That is a good one. Superman Doomsday is not good. Even though it's the first animated film, I don't think it's good. I think there's a lot of plot holes, and it's like a really bad adaptation of that. I think the Death of Superman movie in the DC continuity, that DC film continuity, is pretty decent. They also did a good job with Return of Superman, so I'd say that comes closest, but no one's really gotten it. Third question. Would you like to see My Adventures of Superman version of Supergirl get her own spin-off show? Absolutely. I think that version of Kara could really carry her own as a character. Yeah, so absolutely, I could see that happening. No doubt in my mind, that could easily, that could work. I think she could carry her own show, and maybe she'll appear in the My Adventures with Green Lantern animated series, if that is in the same continuity. But, like, you literally named it My Adventures with Green Lantern, the same thing as My Adventures with Superman, so that has to be in the same canon, right? Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Tom. Moving on out at Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, which comic writer who's never written a Superman story would you like to see write the character? There's a few. I think Donny Cates would be an interesting one. I know Cates is, like, kind of a more darker character, like, he's a more darker character writer, but I've seen him write Spider-Man, and I've seen, like, he has a lot of reverence for, like, hope and all of that. So I feel like he would do, like, some really, like, horror stuff with Superman, but he would keep Superman as he is. Like, I really do feel like Cates would keep Superman as he is, and also have him fight some impossible tasks. And a lot of his comics are about fathers and sons, so I imagine a lot of it would be like some lost thing that Jor-El did that inevitably, I can guarantee you this would be the story, is like the main run would be that in a Cates Superman run would be Superman discovers that, like, there was something that Jor-El did in the past, and now it led to it was like the first step to the doom of Krypton. And now Clark has to deal with this, revelation and things like that, and maybe even have a new threat along the way. For other writers, I would say Kelly Thompson. I think she would be a really great one. Trying to think of, like, who else hasn't written Superman before. I would say Jason Aaron would be interesting, but he's already writing Absolute Superman, and he did a stint in Action Comics involving Bizarro. For, like, who I could see, that's a tough one. I think Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, I don't think they have written Superman. They've written in the DC universe, but Kelly and Lansing have not. I don't think they have written a main Superman story. So I would love to see their take. I would love to see. Oh God, what's his name? God, I'm forgetting it. There's a writer I just had in my head, and now it's gone. Oh, Jonathan Hickman. Yeah, I would absolutely love to see a Jonathan Hickman Superman comic. I think that would be, like, Hickman on Superman would be perfection. Like, yeah, there's my number one pick right there. Jonathan Hickman on a Superman book. So there you go. Second question. What was the first Superman comic you've ever read? It was Death of Superman, weirdly enough. I'm 90% sure it was the Death of Superman. Now, keep in mind, I had known who Superman was because I had watched the cartoons first. And for some reason, we had the Death of Superman in my house, along with the Black Suit Saga of Spider-Man in like these old trades. And I had read them as a kid, and I didn't really understand what was going on. But I had understood, I understood who Superman was, and also, like, it was not so much writing, but it was, like, pretty pictures and whatnot. So, yeah, it was kind of confusing as a kid, but, like, that was, I think, I'm 90% sure that was my first Superman comic. Third question. Do you prefer the Donner cut or theatrical cut of Superman 2? I mean, both have their strengths and weaknesses, if I'm being honest. Like, both really do have, like, a lot of strengths and weaknesses. But if I was to say one, I feel like the Donner cut gives you just a wee bit more of story, if I'm being honest. There is a little more weird shit in there, but I accept it. Anyway, think of those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Nolan Unejo, who asks, do you think Kang the Conqueror would make a good Superman villain? I think so. I do think Kang would make a good Superman villain. He has fought villains other, like, time travel villains before, like the Time Trapper and a few other villains here and there. So, yeah, Kang would be really good. I'd also love to see, like, Kang trying to, like, rupture the time, like, try to alter time and all that. So, or Superman's life or something like that. Yeah. So I think Kang would work. Second question. What are your thoughts on the villain Maxima? I personally think she's annoying. Maxima's okay. I personally don't hate her. They just don't know what to do. I don't think anyone at DC knows what to do with her. That's kind of the thing, is that no one really knows what to do with that character, whether to make her an anti-hero, a villain. No one's really addressed that she tried to sexually assault Superman, which is a little fucked, but I feel like that needs to be addressed at some point. But yeah. There you go. Third question. What are the best Superman comics about him being a husband and father? Literally anything from Peter Tomasi's run, because Tomasi was really the guy who put that all together. So I would definitely say, like, Peter Tomasi's run is the definitive one. So thank you for those questions, Nolan. Moving on to Cyborg 19.99, who asks, besides Thanos and Apocalypse, which Marvel villain would push Superman to his limits? Well, Kang was mentioned, so I'm not going to mention him. I'd say Galactus. Well, Galactus isn't really Annihilus. There we go. Annihilus. I would say Blastar. Annihilus, Blastar. I would even say Ultron. Probably even Count Nefaria. He's an underrated powerhouse, so yeah. So those are those to name a few. Second question. Which Superboy do you prefer, Connor Kent or John Kent? Well, I got nothing against John Kent. I think he's grown as a character in his own right, and I think he's been pretty solid. But I got to go with Connor Kent. He's the I'm a child of the 90s, and he's the OG Superboy, and there's a lot to that. There's a lot of history to that character now. No disrespect to John, but I got to go with Con-El here. So thank you for those questions, Cyborg. Moving on now to Alistair Bondman, who asks, I can't be alone in thinking aging up John Kent and keeping him aged up was a mistake. And he has become a boring character since and made Connor Kent redundant. Do you think there is a way to age up John up and not making him boring as dishwasher? And if so, how would you do it, or is he better returned as a kid? I think, again, I've said it before, the aging was kind of a bad idea, and thank God for Kennedy Johnson to give us the Super Twins, because it was basically Kennedy Johnson going, let's fill that void with the Super Twins. But I will say that I don't think John Kent is boring. I just feel like they don't know what to do. Like, they basically wanted to market John Kent as a child for like a long time, like how they've been doing with Damian. The problem is that Bendis came in and just fucked that idea up, and now they don't know what to do with a young adult Superman. There's so many good stories you could tell with that character. I don't and now that they've brought Connor back, as a mainstay, I don't think Connor's outshining him. It's just that character has more interest in him. And again, Bendis literally fucked them. And it feels like the only person who really knows what they're trying to do with him is Tom Taylor. Even though, yes, I know Tom Taylor's John Kent Superman run isn't exactly great, it seems like he's the only one trying, like legitimately trying to fix that problem. So I don't think he's boring, and the genie's out of the bottle. It'd be stupid to revert him to a child again. So yeah. Second question. DC loves Trinities, but for some reason you never ever see Supergirl in any of her incarnations in a Trinity, with Nightwing or Donna, mirroring the close relationship between Wonder Woman, Clark, and Bruce, or even Jason Bizarro and Artemis. Do you think there would be a way to address is there a way to address this? Yeah. Kara, Barbara, Donna. There you go. There's your Trinity right there. We've seen Kara and, Barbara work together. Just throw in Donna Troy, who they're both friends with, and you have another Trinity right there. It's not hard. Like, I know some people would say, well, what about Cassie? No, Cassie's Trinity is Tim, Connor, and her. But yeah, Kara and Barbara have always been interconnected. Just throw in Donna Troy, and you've got it right there. That's your your lost Trinity right there. Third question. We all know that the current DCAU Superman and My Adventures of Superman are the top dogs when it comes to Superman and a supporting cast and animation. And hell, they can often find superior live action to a lot. Pump your brakes. The DCAU... it's the DC Animated Universe, excuse me. But what are your feelings towards lesser-known cartoons that don't get a lot of love, and rate those Superman depictions, such as 2004 Batman 5th Season, Justice League Action, and the long-forgotten Legion of Superheroes? I really dig Justice League Action. It's fun. Batman 5th Season, I think, is pretty decent of all the DC team-ups. And Legion of Superheroes, looking back on it, Legion of Superheroes, no, they just wanted to recapture what they did with Titans. Like, that's really what it was, is that Legion of Superheroes was them trying to capture lightning in the bottle with with what they did with Teen Titans, and it didn't work. So I'd probably say, of those ones, I'd say Justice League Action. Thank you for those questions, Alistair. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, who is your favorite animated Superman? There's a lot I really do enjoy. There's a lot of great Supermen I really do like. But I would say, for me, my personal favorite of these animated Superman is George Newbern. That's the voice I imagine when I'm reading the comics. And Tim Daly's really good. I think... Jack Quaid is also really good as his Superman, but there's a authoritative and care to Newbern's voice, and it always still blows my mind that, that's the same guy who voices Sephiroth in Final Fantasy. If you didn't know that, ta-da, now you do. So, yeah. Third question. Who do you feel is an underrated Superman villain? There's literally anyone who isn't Lex, Zod, Brainiac, or Doomsday. Everyone else is just kind of underrated. But I would say, if you were to ask me, personally, who I think is an underrated villain, is one no one talks about, and that's the Master Jailer. Master Jailer, again, first appeared in Superman Ending Battles, and he's kind of he has this cool, weird metal BDSM aesthetic, and he's also obsessed with, punishing people, and he can control metal and make, massive... He turned Metropolis into a massive prison once. He's an underrated powerhouse, and then when they brought him back, they just made him a corrupt cop, which he kind of was, but without the powers. So hopefully they give him the powers back. I think he's a really underrated Superman villain, because I really love metal controlling characters. So yeah, I'd also say another underrated villain is, I'd say Mongol. No one when you talk about cosmic villains, no one talks about Mongol. Oh, I'd throw Darkseid in the non-underrated characters for Superman villains. But I've never really considered Darkseid just a Superman villain. I've considered him more of a DC Universe villain than a Superman villain. So, third question. What are your thoughts on Superman's monologue? The Superman monologue from Kill Bill Volume 2. It's fucking stupid. It is the no, really. As much as I love the Kill Bill movies, I personally like Volume 1 more. But, like, if you were to ask me what I thought on that monologue, of Bill's monologue on Superman, it is the dumbest surface-level shit I have ever heard. It's like, that is Strawman Superman conversation. Oh, Clark Kent is the mask and Superman's the real man. No, Clark Kent is the person and Superman is also Clark Kent. You know, he was raised by... It's the most straw man thing ever. It's like saying, oh, but Bruce Wayne doesn't see himself as Bruce Wayne. He sees himself as Batman. No, he fucking doesn't. Fucking hate people sometimes. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on the matter. Ugh. So, thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Imagine8, who asks, disregarding the phase where he was split into 2 different versions, how did you feel about the Electric Blue Superman storyline? And did you think it was a success of revamping Superman? I wouldn't really call that era a success, if I'm being honest. I really don't feel like that was a success. I would probably say it was more of a interesting take, and I don't hate it. I actually there are some things about the Electric Blue Superman. There are some things in there I really do like. Yeah. So I personally really like that era, outside of the splitting of the 2 Supermen. But yeah, definitely got people to talk about it for all of 10 minutes it was there. Second question: do you think it would be more scary? Which do you think is a more scarier sight for villains? A pissed off Superman, a smiling Batman, or a Spider-Man that isn't cracking jokes? All right, well, let me put it to you this way. No matter how bright those eyes are going to glow, Clark is not going to kill you. When Batman smiles at you, he's going to put you in a full body cast. When Spider-Man's not cracking jokes, he's going to beat you into a coma and humiliate you. Go ask Kingpin after the events of Back in Black how that went for him. And that's all I got to say about that. Third question. In my opinion, it seems like Steel was the DC counterpart to Iron Man back in the 90s. Do you feel like Steel is often an underrated, overlooked character, and will he ever be as popular as a character like Iron Man? Sadly, no. I don't think he'll... as much. I love Steel. I really do love John Henry Irons as a character, but I don't think he can ever be... I don't think he will ever be on the level of Tony Stark. But he's definitely a character I always love seeing. He's also a character I always enjoy, whenever he's there. Steelworks, even though I didn't really care much for Michael Dorn's Steelworks, I do feel like there's enough of that character I wish we got more of. And I am happy, currently in the comics, he basically is now the mayor of Metropolis. So I hope we get to see him more in Steelworks in the comics. So thank you for those questions, Imagine8. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, whose first question is, how would Superman react to Ash Ketchum being a superhero, saving the world so many times without superpowers? I think he would just look at it and be like, I knew a kid around your age who helped save the world, and his name was Dick Grayson. Clark's best friend has no powers and saves the world. He uses gadgets and not Pokemon. But I do think Clark would be like, you're okay, kid. Second question. What was your first introduction to Superman? My first introduction to Superman was the cartoons, much like with Batman. It was the 90s cartoon where Clark, where you could see that character fight and all that. And I thought, I didn't have an understanding of comics. It was more like a understanding of this is a cartoon character, and then I realized, oh, he comes from comics. It was kind of like that was the reason why I watched the 90s cartoon of reading Death of Superman. That made me go, oh, I see what we're doing here. Okay, now I have an understanding of this character and where he comes from. So yeah, that was kind of my first experience with Superman was the '90s cartoon, and inevitably like his appearances in Justice League and so on and so forth. Anyway, moving on to the third question: how would you do a team up between Superman and the Crystal Gems? Nothing I could really think of off the top of my head, but I would probably say, like, how I would probably do this story is have it be that Brainiac has arrived to Homeworld to, like, take it and finally lead the death blow on it. So Clark and the Crystal Gems go to face Brainiac. That's kind of what the idea. That's the working idea I got off the top of my head. Thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on now to Mount Vernon Kid, who asks, Christopher Reeves will always be pretty much the face of Superman. Who do you think makes up the second best? Well, I'm about to say something a little heretical, and it's probably best that I waited until, this time around in this recording, wait until, to basically, basically, I waited until, because this would have been the first question. I know people would have been, like, freaking out, so we'll see how long people have lasted so far into this video, but still. Anyway, Christopher Reeve is the GOAT. Let's not get that twisted. Christopher Reeve is no doubt the GOAT of Superman actors. But for me, for Henry Cavill's not it. He's third place. Reason being is that Henry Cavill, if you gave him a great script, he would have been an amazing Superman. He would have been a phenomenal Superman. But the Snyderverse just sucks balls. Yeah. It just sucks balls, and it ruined his character. And don't get me wrong, Cavill tried his best. Like, Cavill did his damnedest to, make that work. Like, he really did try the hardest he could to make that Superman work, but just couldn't. If you gave him, like, any other script that wasn't written by 12-year-old edgelords, I'm sure it would have been better. But no, my second favorite Superman is actually a tie between two. Tyler Holson from Lois and Superman and Lois Lane, and Brendan Routh. Yeah, Brendan Routh. I think he really cared. Let's talk about Routh first, because that one just made everyone go, "What?" The reason why Brandon Routh is kind of my of the two, Brandon Routh is a Superman who really carried what Reeves was as his Superman, where he's caring, but also he's understanding of the human nature. And when he came back to being Superman in Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's like he didn't lose a beat. Tyler Holson is also, like, he's probably the best TV Superman. Like, without a doubt, Tyler Holson is arguably the best Superman. Yeah, he's definitely, like, the best TV Superman. He has that care to him, he has that hope to him, and he's willing to fight for his family no matter what. So there you go. It's a tie between Holson and Routh. I'm sorry, Cavill fans. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I really, I think Cavill would have been the best Superman had it not been for the movies he was given. Anyway, second question. Val Zod has been in contention to appear or have his own solo movie. Do you think it's on the table, or should it wait? I think it should wait, even though I feel like you could still do it if you got the right enough script. It's just, like, I think Cavill did say something, not Cavill, James Gunn said something that there will be other DC movies and they'll be considered Elseworlds. So just call it an Elseworld. But here's the thing. We're already, like, Marvel is moving past the whole thing of, like, the multiverse. So I don't think audiences are tired of the multiverse already. So don't try to make this movie a multiverse movie. Just call it an Elseworld story and maybe hint at other universes. Even instead of don't use Tempest Fugonaut, use Metron and have it be that Metron is like, hey, you like that universe? Check this shit out. Something like that. So have it be don't even mention the multiverse. Don't even mention Pariah, World Forger, Monitor, Anti-Monitor, Perpetua, the Dark Universe, none of that. Just have it be its own story and call it like an Elseworld story. There you go. But I feel like maybe just wait 1 or 2 years at the end of the day. Anyway, And lastly, is it time to have Brainiac finally appear in a live-action movie? Yes. I am so like. Don't get it wrong. I think Ultraman is Bizarro or a version of him, and I am interested to see Holt's Lex Luthor. But like, I just need another villain, and hopefully Gunn, when he gives us another movie, hopefully, I know he's saying he's working on a World's Finest movie, but I want a sequel Superman movie with Brainiac or anyone. But I think Brainiac is the villain everyone's been begging to see for so long. So yeah, it's about damn time, as that one god-awful song is. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is the Superman Q&A. I want to thank everyone for sending in questions, and other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse. Jesus.